Hello everyone, my name is Kristen Ryan and today I will be discussing the various roles of participants in the court process. The justice system would not operate correctly if it didn't have all its parts contributing and working together. Today I will be covering the 10 key participants in the court process, which are the plaintiff, the respondent, the accused, the prosecutor, the defense attorney, the judge, the victim, witness or witnesses, police, and the members of the jury. By the end of this presentation, you'll be able to understand how each role is key to allowing justice to be served. Let's start out with the plaintiff, the respondent, and the accused. So for civil cases, the plaintiff is the one that's bringing the case to court, usually to sue for damages or something along those lines. And in the opposite side stands the respondent, who is defending itself against claims being brought up in court. When it comes to criminal cases, the side known as the accused is either someone or a group of people that is being accused of committing a crime. One important aspect in the justice system is the fact that the accused is seen innocent until proven guilty in the court. This is a very important concept because since the accused is seen as innocent, it is up to the prosecution to bring a sufficient amount of evidence to prove otherwise. Now let's talk about the prosecutor and the defense attorney. So the prosecutor represents the state or the government, and their job is to prove that the accused is beyond a reasonable doubt guilty. When it comes to building a case against the accused, the prosecutor gathers different parts to build a reliable case, such as witness testimony, physical evidence, and even victim testimony. And when it comes to a defense attorney, it is their job to represent the accused and make arguments that go against the prosecution. It is their job to protect the rights of the accused and build a reliable defense that challenges the evidence brought up from the prosecution. And it is also up to the prosecution to build enough proof to be seen as substantial enough. And this kind of system with defense attorneys and prosecutors is a system in where it is built to kind of merge fairness and the truth and kind of find a balanced way to represent the law. So the person that overlooks this whole process and presides is known as a judge. The judge's job is to remain neutral but stand as authority in the courtroom. Their job includes them making sure all legal procedures are followed, and if any attorney calls for an objection, that they can rule on it, and to make sure that the trial goes according to the law. In some cases, the judge is also in charge of coming up with a verdict, and the judge just kind of acts as a guide and is essential in making sure the law is applied throughout this process. So now let's move on to the role of the victim. The victim is the person that the crime was committed against, and they definitely play a vital role in the court process. The victim provides testimony on what they experienced and describes how they endured harm throughout the crime. Their testimony is extremely important because it allows the jury to see a first-person point of view of the crime and understand the impact it has. Still, their perspective is still balanced with the rights of the accused to ensure fairness, but thank God over the years, the voice of the victim has become more recognized and more heard. The next role to be discussed is the role of the witness or witnesses if there are multiple. A witness or witnesses is a person or people that see a crime being committed or have knowledge about the case. In criminal cases, it is important to gather as many witnesses as possible because it creates reliability and validity to the evidence being presented. But there are certain standards that are still held to keep a witness deemed reliable, so that there basically aren't a bunch of people that can say whatever they want and lie to try and sway a perspective on a crime. A central role when it comes to the justice system is the police, because they're kind of there throughout the whole process. They are a force used to ensure safety in society and are usually part of being the first responders on a crime. And they also help gather evidence, investigate, and arrest suspects that they believe are involved in the crime or committed the crime. And sometimes they're also asked to testify in court if it is seen as necessary, and they testify on evidence that has been collected or observations they had while investigating the crime. The work that they put in and gather is what basically builds a case and allows a prosecutor to fight for justice, but they are held to incredibly high standards when it comes to the collection of evidence to ensure that all evidence was found legally. And finally, we have the members of the jury. So a jury is made up of random citizens that are given a job of deciding an outcome to a case. When it comes to a criminal case, their job is to decide whether a defendant is guilty or not guilty based on the charges against them. And they make this decision based on evidence and testimony in the trial. For civil cases, they decide more or less if the defendant is liable, and if they are found liable, how much the compensation will be. A jury is meant to be of random and ordinary people to ensure that there isn't bias, and to also ensure that there isn't just one person deciding and only having one person's input and opinion on the decision. The role is one of the most powerful because they decide the verdict, unless there are some cases where an appeal can be drawn. But to wrap things up, the court process is made up of, like I said, participants that carry out important roles in this process. Once again, these participants are as followed. You have the plaintiff, respondent, accused, prosecutor, defense attorney, victim, witness or witnesses, judge, police, and jury. When all of these roles are combined, it creates a system that has been put into place to seek justice and ensure balance, fairness, and even rule of law. Understanding these roles and how they operate together is valuable because this occurs every day, and if you or someone you know is involved in this process, it can be important to understand the elements and ensure how justice can be served. Thank you so much.